Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Knife Chats with Tobias. Hello everybody, Tobias here, and I am really excited to talk to you about a new knife that I just picked up. I was not expecting to see this, but it showed up on eBay and I had to grab it right away. If anyone else was looking for it, too bad it wasn't up there very long, because as soon as I saw it, it's like, oh man, I gotta grab that. This is in the
Gran'Pa series. There was 5, later 6 knives in this series.
I'm going to try and stay focused this time. I have 2 other knives in the Gran'Pa series, and as you can tell from this knife, it looks very much like a Schrade old-timer 152. I mean, right down to the handle, if you notice there. It's got, I think they call it saw-cut Delrin in the world of Schrade. I believe Camillus referred to this as scored Delrin. But as you can see there, very much an OT 152 sharp finger. If you don't believe me, here's a Schrade OT 152 sharp finger. Yeah, there are some minor differences to this. I'm going to leave that up to the slideshow to show you the minor differences. For the most part, the knives are about the exact same size, same sweep on the upswept Skinner blade and everything else. But as you can see, this is definitely a defined grind line here, and this is more smooth. You can see that the holes are very similar, but not exactly the same size. And you can see how it is riveted in place, how the pins are. The ones on Camillus are domed. These are flat and slightly recessed on this particular Schrade OT 152. Now, the Schrade OT 152 changed over time a little bit here and there, including the sheath. You'll get different sheaths with the Schrade OT 152. The Camillus Gran'Pa GP 152, you pretty much always get the same sheath and the same knife all throughout. And that's because this knife, the Gran'Pa 152, as well as the other knives in the Gran'Pa series, were only made for 2, maybe 3 years. It's a little fuzzy on exactly when it came out, but it sounds like it came out in 2005. It may have come out at the end of 2004. Not 100% sure on that. What I do know is it was not in existence in 2003. And before then, Camillus had not made a knockoff of the OT 152.
Now, Camillus made 3 other 152 style knives. One in the Western series was the WC32C, and it had a half serrated blade. The other 2 were in the Buckmaster series. Now, the first had a craton handle similar to the one in the Western line, and also had the 420 high carbon steel blade. But the other Buckmaster was similar to this knife, including a carbon steel blade. However, I'm not sure what the shield on that one says.
And obviously this one has the Gran'Pa shield on here, taking place of the old-timer shield that you have on the Schrade. Now, this knife is also very similar to the Baron Son 753, but not exactly the same, and you'll see that more in the slideshow. There are 2 different versions of the Baron Son 753. I'm not going to go into great details, but originally the 753 did not have a hole in the handle, the lanyard hole back here. They later added the lanyard hole into the 753. So otherwise, the knives are all fairly the same, about the same size, same dimensions, same weight, and everything else. The only difference is really we're talking about the finish. And I will hand it to Schrade. I believe the OT 152 was had a better finish on it than the Camillus Gran'Pa knife. And you can see that on this simply because of the polish on the blade. Notice you can see the lines and everything there. It is not as highly polished as you had on the Schrade. See right there. Also, it's just stamped the typical way Camillus did it. Camillus, New York, USA. They did not put the pattern number on the backside or anything like that. It was just sold as the Gran'Pa knife. And it will have the Gran'Pa shield. That is it. And there are, like I mentioned, 5 different Gran'Pa knives. The first one I ever got was this one here. This is the Stockman, and it has that oval shield that you have on this one. These are the only 2 knives that had the oval shield. So the series, while they all are stamped Gran'Pa somewhere, they don't all have the same shield. This was the Stockman. I think it's a 3.5 inch, maybe 3.25 inch Stockman. Yeah, more like a 3.25 inch Stockman. And then the other knife I have is the lockback. This was the GP7 lockback. As you can see, again, not a highly polished blade, more of a satin finish on that. And then you have a round Gran'Pa shield going on there. And this is the lockback frame that Camillus used for both a 2-blade and a 1-blade lockback. The 2-blade allowed both blades to lock by having the second lock back here. In any case, we're not going into great detail there. As you can see, this has the saw cut Delrin. This one has the jig Delrin handle. So differences in the Delrin handles as well. But the handle material did not vary from year to year. The knife remains the same in 2005, 2006, and possibly 2007. The numbers made were not extremely high. This, like I mentioned, was in really the waning years of Camillus. The other 2 knives that were in the series were similar to this knife. This is their 2 3/4 inch frame leader's knife for the Boy Scouts of America, and one of them had 2 blades. I believe that was the 104, which is similar to this. This is the C, as in Camillus, Gran'Pa CGP 104, and it would have like a clip blade and then a small pin blade. And the other one was the Camillus Gran'Pa CGP 12, and it only had the clip blade, but they were both built on this frame. Now, this is not the Gran'Pa series knife. This is the one in the Boy Scouts of America leader's knife, but the Gran'Pa series knives are essentially the same knife, right down to the shield. It'll have the same shape of shield and the same kind of jigging in the handles. So it's a series that is, as you can kind of tell, is kind of thrown together. You have different types of handle material going on with it, or different, well, the handle material is all brown Delrin, but jigged or scored. So you have 3 that are jigged handle and 2 that were scored. And as you can tell, the browns are not exactly the same shade or anything like that. So and the shields are not the same throughout the whole series. They could have used an oval shield all around, but they didn't. They have one that's round, 2 that have a badge-like shield, and 2 that were oval. So,
Oh, and I failed to mention that in 2006 they came out with a extra Stockman in this series. This is the 4-inch closed one, as you can see here, highlighted in red. That was the CGP 8B or CGP PSC. It really depended on if it was boxed or if it was in a blister pack, the way it was picked up. In any case, same price for either of them. But that was the fourth knife, and you can see that that is like the other Stockman in that it has a scored handle and has the oval shield. So by 2006, I don't know if they were starting to try and get everything the same or not, but the other knives still continue to have either the round or the badge type shield. So in 2006, it went from 5 knives in the series to 6 knives in the series. And as you can see, the sharp finger knife is just called the Gran'Pa, even though they call it the Sharp Hunter in the Buckmaster series. So I don't know what to make of all that.
It's kind of a mishmash of a series, and that's also kind of a sign that Camillus was in trouble at the time that this series was coming out. It's probably one of the last series of knives that they introduced. And as you can also tell from the name, they were already, it's almost as if they were, how can I put this? They were reading the writing on the wall when it came to a lot of their traditional pattern knives. These knives were not the ones selling, and people were already in 2005 referring to these types of knives as Gran'Pa knives. They were probably referring to them as Gran'Pa knives even before then. Otherwise, no one would have known what they were talking about. So, kind of a sign of the times back in the late 2000 or early 2000s that Camillus was in trouble, and the traditional knife industry was in trouble. They were competing with modern folders and such. And if you see some of the other knives that Camillus was putting out at the time, they also were in that they were competing against these knives themselves. They were already moving beyond this. They were looking at ways to adapt their traditional knives into a modern folding knife world. So using new handle materials and things of that nature. But still, for those fans of traditional knives, I think this is a pretty interesting series. I do like it. Like I said, stick around. I'll show you some comparisons between this knife and the Baron Sons 753 and the OT 152 in the slideshow that follows. But I'm really happy to have it. Now, I got 2 more that I have to find that look like this, and that's going to be really tricky. And this is not a big knife, 2 3/4 inches. Anyway, with that said, I will let you go, and here are my 3 Gran'Pas. let me take just a second to thank you once again for dropping by and spending a few minutes here at Knife Chats with Tobias. I really do appreciate it, and I do appreciate any comments that you leave. So please remember to give me that thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you'll know when the next episode is up and running. Thanks again for dropping by. Really do appreciate your time here.